Good morning folks, welcome back to my channel, and today we'll be learning how to do carb setting on Rajdoot, and along with that we'll also be learning why and actually how a carburetor works. If you remember, that was a flashback from the previous video wherein we tuned the Rajdoot's carburetor. In this particular video we'll be learning how a CB carburetor looks from inside and how it actually functions, and along with that we'll also be cleaning the CB carburetor on my Unicorn, and then we'll be proceeding further. Now, without wasting much time, let's take a look at this cool animation which pretty much explains most of the CV carburetor's internals and how it works, and after that we'll be heading towards cleaning our carburetor. Now that we understand how it looks from inside, let's take a look at how it works. Now that we understand the function of the choke and the pilot jet, let's try to understand the function of the main jet, the butterfly valve, the diaphragm, the slide, and the jet needle. Now that we understand the function of various components of a CV carburetor, let's take a look at its function when the throttle is wide open. Now that we understand how it looks and how it works, let's take out the carburetor from our bike and clean it. It's not really very difficult to take out the carburetor on a CV carbureted motorcycle. What you have to do is you have to loosen the throttle body positioning sensors connections, then you have to take out the throttle cable, and after that you have to take out the choke cable. You can do it in any order that you prefer, and once all those things are done, you have to loosen the screws which are tightening it to the manifold as well as the air filter, and finally you have to take it out. Coming to the tools required for the task, the list includes a toothbrush, a thin wire which is sufficiently thin to get inside the holes of the jets, and then you would need a shallow tub for cleaning purpose obviously. Along with that you will also be needing a plier, and with that a Phillips head screwdriver. For cleaning and degreasing the entire carburetor, it's suggested that you go for petrol, but it's not really necessary. I have used kerosene for my carburetor cleaning, and it has worked pretty well, so you can go for that also. Besides, it's cheaper, so it's going to save you a few bucks. Most important thing that you should keep in mind is to first clean the carburetor externally and then to go ahead with cleaning the internals, as if you are going to do that simultaneously, thing may happen that the external dirt or filth which is accumulated at the outside of the carburetor may get inside the tiny holes, and that would be really difficult to clean. Since I have externally cleaned the carburetor in the previous operations, so this time I will simply be opening the carburetor and then I will be cleaning its internals. For this particular carburetor, I have never opened the top of the diaphragm area, and that's the reason that I am going to clean that first now. At the top of the diaphragm, there is a diaphragm retention spring, and that's why you should take special care while you are taking out the last screw. Usually there is very little dust retention at the top of the diaphragm, and in our case also that's the reality, as there is little space for dust to get into. Take a slight precaution of not using any kind of petroleum based degreaser or cleaner to clean the rubber, as that would degrade it. The best way to do it is to clean it with a damp cloth, and that would take care of most of the filth which is accumulated over it. Be gentle, as any kind of rust would simply damage it and thereby making the entire carburetor useless. You can use, however, a little kerosene or for that matter any degreaser of your choice in the area where the diaphragm goes, or for that matter the diaphragm housing. Once you are done with cleaning, apply a little lubricant at the slide as that would facilitate its movement. However, that's not advisable in case if you are using pod filter or as such, as in that case the amount of dirt or grit that is entering your engine would be more, and in case if that accumulates at the slide, it may damage the slide guide too. Now that the top part of the carburetor is cleaned, just place the diaphragm back to its place carefully. The diaphragm spring doesn't really have a very high spring constant, so placing it back at its place won't really be a very difficult job. Once done, tighten the top screws and it's done. Now that the top part of the carburetor is clean, let's focus on the lower area. Let's first take out the petrol chamber. Once you open it up, you find the pilot jet, the main jet as well as the float. Unscrew both the jets using the flathead screwdriver. Now that both the jets are out, check for clogging if any. If there is no light at the end of the tunnel, use a thin wire to declog it. If the debris is too much, just inspect it again and try declogging it using the wire. Repeat the same procedure for the second jet too, till the time it's perfectly clean and you can see the dot of light from the end of the tunnel. At the bottommost part of most of the carburetors, you will find a tiny screw which is used to drain the fuel in case if there is a deposition of debris. Make sure to unscrew it and take it out so that you could clean it and then refix it at its place. While doing so, just pour a little amount of kerosene oil inside the fuel chamber so that whatever debris is accumulated over there would be cleaned immediately. Use the same old technique of using the thin wire to declog of any debris if there is any accumulation at that particular area. While doing all these operations, make sure that the wire that you are using is not really a weak kind, as in case if it may get broken while the process is on, it would be very difficult to take it out of those tiny fissures. A stainless steel wire is good for this particular purpose, and if you are not able to find one, you can just take it out from any of the wire brush with appropriate size of bristles. Now that everything is shiny and clean, fix them at their appropriate places. Keep all the screws and bolts at one particular place so that you don't have to really fish for them once the job is done. So that's all about it, folks. That's what you need to keep in mind while you are cleaning the CV carburetor on your bike. It's not really a very difficult or tough task, and you can do it on your own any given day. So it's a high time that we fix it on the bike and take a proper check if it's really working or not, or we have failed miserably at this particular task. Now that deserves a thumbs up. So that would be all, folks. I hope this tutorial will help you clean your carburetors. Till the next time, build it, ride it.